Tuesday, we had two bizarre scenarios around Major League Baseball. We just talked about Valdez and Salazar, and now we're talking about Devers and Freelands. When this was going on, I was saying to myself, how do you get into a brawl with the Colorado Rockies?
Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 83 of Hitting for the Cycle. I'm your host, Ben Kruse, alongside my co-host, Ryan Touhey. Ryan, we are back after a week off on a little break. Obviously, hopefully you're doing well. I was at my house, Fenway Park, this past weekend with a bunch of my friends. Had a really good time. Despite the outcome, we got our ass kicked. But I had some time off, had a little mini vacation. And now, Ryan, summer is over. And now we're really at this point in time that baseball's in its last month of regular season. And it's now crunch time, my friend. So really exciting stuff. And how are you doing?
I'm doing very well. It's good to be back. We are now officially in the month of September, final month of the baseball season, like you mentioned. Happy belated Labor Day to everybody who's listening or watching us. So last weekend, of course, was Labor Day. It was a fun weekend. I enjoyed myself. I went to a concert last weekend. I don't really go to concerts that often, but I saw one of my favorite musical groups, Oasis. I never thought I'd be able to see them live, but I did, and they were great. It was a fun evening. I was losing my mind. I was going crazy, singing at the top of my lungs. It was a fun time. It was a very fun time.
Yeah, it looked like from all your social media stuff, it looked like a hell of a time. And yeah, so really for everybody watching, before we get into the overall recording, hopefully you guys had a really good summer, because I think at this point in time, summer is over, and it's all the barbecues, myself going swimming, everything. It's coming to an end. Football season kicked off yesterday, so now it's kind of turning into that crisp air fall feel, So really exciting stuff coming around, but hopefully everybody had a good summer. Before obviously get started, as usual, make sure to follow us on Hitting for the Cycle, HFCTC, ETB on the Empty the Bench podcast network at ETB Network. Make sure to subscribe to Empty the Bench podcast network on YouTube. Also follow Ryan Touhey at rtouhey97. You can obviously follow me at Ben Kruse144. Make sure to follow Hitting for the Cycle at HFTC ETB. Also, if you guys want to listen to us via recording, pre-recording, follow us on YouTube at youtube.com/ETB Network. If you guys are on the go, listen to us wherever you guys be hitting for Hitting for the Cycle, wherever you guys might be getting your podcasts. And this episode is presented by Playback. Stay tuned for more. Playback has been absolutely massive to us, Ryan, as of recently. We have a lot of great shows, including our show over on there. And then you have a lot of other shows on the ETB network. So make sure to follow us and to subscribe. Also, Ryan, we obviously want to shout out ETB because we are now past 10,000 subscribers. So it's a very awesome monument to have, and we couldn't thank everybody enough for that. So awesome stuff in regards. Yep. So stay tuned for more of Hitting for the Cycle later on in the program. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty stuff regarding this week on episode 83. And the first topic we want to get into is this week, obviously, your Yankees, Ryan, took on the Houston Astros in a pivotal 3-game stretch in Houston. And in the middle game of that series,
was the first game of the series.
Thank you. You obviously know more about the series than me, I guess. Framber Valdez, first game of the series. Thank you, Ryan. He was pitching to I forgot the catcher's name for the Houston Astros.
Cesar Salazar.
Salazar. I'll just say the last name, Salazar. Cesar Salazar. The backup catcher. So I'm always used to Yonder Diaz being their main guy. But Framber Valdez was pitching to him. And during the game, it looked like there was a massive cross-up that happened. I think it was a pitch to Anthony Volpe. And then also in that game, Trent Grisham hit a opposite field grand slam, and I think mid part throughout that at bat, believe Salazar told him to step off,
Mhm.
and he didn't. And he basically the next pitch was the grand slam home run. So there was a little bit of controversy basically after the game in terms of what exactly was kind of going on. Valdez wasn't necessarily sharp in this game, and he basically apologized in his post game comments about just different stuff kind of regarding this overall incident. I didn't really kind of go into like the ins and outs really personally about this, but I have a pretty good idea kind of what kind of happened. And yeah, so what do you think about this, Ryan? I know obviously this was kind of, obviously your team facing this team. Do you feel like that there was any type of fishiness, I guess you can say, kind of going on between Valdez and the catcher? And I mean, yeah, granted, cross-ups are cross-ups. It's going to happen in sports. Pitchers obviously are going to throw a pitch, and it happens. But do you think there possibly was something maybe going on more than we might be thinking about this?
I think fishiness is an appropriate word to describe this scenario. So, my whole perspective of this is I do believe there was a little bit of intent out of frustration from Valdez. I think he was very frustrated. I think he was more frustrated at himself more than his catcher. And I think he just decided to just take his anger out on poor Salazar behind the plate. So basically, what happened was in the top of the fifth inning in the first game of the series, the Yankees loaded the bases. Trent Grisham was at the plate, and like Ben said, Salazar at one point was telling Valdez to step off the mound, and Valdez did not do that. And literally on that very next pitch, Grisham went the opposite way and went and hit a grand slam into the Crawford boxes. And Valdez was obviously rattled, and you could see it in his face. And the next batter was Anthony Volpe, and Valdez's second pitch to Volpe. I forget what what kind of pitch Salazar was calling for, but whatever it was, Valdez did not throw that pitch. He threw a strike right down the middle, but it was not the kind of pitch that Salazar initially thought that they had agreed upon. And Salazar got completely crossed up, and it hit him square in the chest, and the ball ricocheted to the backstop. And the camera zoomed in on Salazar, and you can see Salazar's reaction, staring out to Valdez like, dude, what the hell? And he kind of, like rolled his eyes. And, I mean, you could see it. Salazar lifted up his face mask, and he kind of, looked to the sky out of like with disgust or frustration, kind of giving
Even Volpe too. Like
yeah,
you could see Volpe's reaction. Like it looked like Volpe was taken the whole entire way. But then he basically kind of looked back and basically saw the reaction of Salazar and pretty much was like, what the heck kind of happened for both sides?
Yeah, Volpe kind of gave the look like, dude, you all right? And Salazar.
Because that Volpe was going to swing through it no matter what. Sorry, Ron, I had
to. Well, he didn't swing at that pitch.
No, I know.
But regardless, yeah, it was kind of a bad look for Valdez. And after the game, the media was all over Valdez and Salazar. Valdez, according to Valdez, I'm reading this off of the Athletic. This is coming from Chandler Rome of the Athletic. It's running down to this. Just going down to
don't know Chandler Rome, by the way. Sorry to cut you off, Ryan. For those that don't know Chandler Rome, he is the Houston Astros beat reporter.
Yes. So, according to Valdez, Salazar called a curveball, but I wanted to throw a sinker. And Salazar acknowledged that he wanted Valdez to step off the mound because we were going to throw some pitches. Well, obviously, you're going to throw some pitches. I don't know what else you're going to do. So it sounds like Salazar didn't really have that good of an explanation as to what was going on. And I thought we had less time than we actually did, Salazar said. I guess he's referring to the pitch clock. So Valdez obviously is the ace of the Houston staff at this point in his career. He's obviously a free agent after this season. So he's pitching for some big money. But Valdez has a tendency to sometimes go against what a catcher's game plan is, according to Rome in this article. Yainer Diaz has caught the vast majority of Framber Valdez's starts. And so Salazar and Valdez haven't really worked that much together. So there was just a lot of confusion, and it seems like there is not a lot of understanding going on between Salazar, Valdez. Joe Espada gave his thoughts about the whole situation, saying that he doesn't know if it was a pitch com issue. He says he would have to, go back and look at the replay or whatever. But basically, what happened after the game, they were apparently Valdez stood in front of Salazar's locker, and the two of them spoke in English, and I guess were trying to sort out their differences. Valdez apparently did apologize to Salazar, and he said he did take responsibility for his actions. The two of them were eventually brought into Espada's office afterward, and they both gave their explanations, and I guess there was some differentials in detail. And Valdez vehemently said, though, he's my teammate. He's always here for me. I don't ever want to cause any harm to my teammate. It was something that I excused myself with. I got crossed up by mistake, and I hit him by mistake. So Valdez, denying that he ever intentionally meant to hit Salazar with that pitch. Like I said, my perspective personally, I think there was definitely some frustration from Valdez, but I think it was more at himself rather than Salazar. But I think that Salazar, unfortunately, was victim of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. I think he would have done that no matter who was catching that night. Valdez, I think, was just more upset at himself, and he said, I need to just take my frustration out. I'm sorry, dude. And he just decided to go after Salazar that way. I think that's a stupid thing to do, regardless. Yeah. But the whole scenario was just bizarre and stupid. And I mean, I think Valdez has. You can tell. I think Valdez has a little bit of has a little anger or fire inside of him. Sometimes his emotions get the best of him. At times, this might have been one of those cases. Obviously, the Astros are going to try and sweep this under the rug as quickly as possible. They got more important things to worry about than cross-ups. So the whole thing was just kind of bizarre, but I mean, it's a bad look for Framber Valdez. The media has been pretty harsh on him ever since this happened on Tuesday night. And yeah, it was a very strange scenario, and we'll see if this, rattles Valdez's confidence moving forward as the Astros head down the stretch. It was kind of an unnecessary side story that the Astros encountered.
Yeah. And two more things that I'm kind of thinking about as you're talking about this. Robert Valdez this season has not been completely what he's been the last couple of years. He's still been fine, but in a free agency type of year for him coming up, I feel like, this is kind of a bad luck not only for himself, but it's a bad luck for a lot of teams that are trying to find a frontline type of starter. I mean, I was kind of in the realm of the Sox of obviously, if they didn't go out and get a Crochet or they didn't go out and get, a Joe Ryan. Of course, unfortunately, they didn't get it at the trade deadline, but obviously we'll kind of talk about that maybe later on this coming up off season. But Framber Valdez is going to be one of the top guys out there. I mean, you got to show if you want to get paid, you want to have a representation, not only just for the team, but for yourself. And I get it. Obviously I do respect that he did apologize. And I had a feeling too that Yonder Diaz was his personal catcher. I haven't really heard much about the Salazar guy. So I just feel like just to kind of put all on him, the way he kind of did was just kind of tough. So another thing too, Ryan, is Valdez has been a guy that's done a pretty good job against the Yankees, and the two starts that he had against the Yankees weren't great. The first one at Yankee Stadium, he was completely erratic. He didn't go deep. He actually, honestly, it's funny enough because he was sensational actually coming up to the Red Sox game at Fenway Park. And then people are like joking around that it's like ever since that game, he hasn't been like the same guy. He obviously had some pretty decent starts, but like, how like the saying of like a team might break you. Like people are like, oh, maybe it was that Red Sox start that broke Valdez. Obviously, jokingly aside, we don't know, right? He's still, I think, a really good pitcher. But I'm very curious to know like why Diaz maybe wasn't the catcher for him, because if maybe he was, maybe we don't have this certain situation.
Maybe I think they just gave Diaz a day off, and it just happened to be on a day Valdez is Valdez was on the mound. I mean, I still have that strong belief that it doesn't really matter who your catcher is for the day or for the evening. You got to throw to somebody. So get over whoever is behind the plate. Like I said, I don't think there's really any personal beef between Valdez or Salazar. I just think that Valdez's emotions got the best of him.
I agree with that. I don't think that there's going to be kind of more to this story. I'll be kind of surprised. But yeah, that's our first topic from today. Was Framber Valdez was accused of throwing at Salazar. Next topic we're going to get into is some suspension and brawl. So it's a team right now that is completely in the gutter in the Colorado Rockies. I mean, they've basically been in the gutter ever since opening day. The Giants are a team that's kind of, in flux because, of course, they added, my guy Rafael Devers at the trade deadline. Well, pretty much right before it, but and they kind of were playing really good ball kind of right outside of it, but then they really hit massive stretch where it was just they were not playing good ball at all. But Ryan, I mean, if you want to kind of describe some of it, I will kind of get like a little preview of kind of exactly what happened. So obviously correct me if I'm wrong about this, but I do know that Rafael Devers, my guy, I will support him until the day I die. Rafael Devers at a homer. Rafi's actually been hitting much better as of late. I know, obviously, coming out, he had a slow start, and people are obviously trying to say, "Whoa, Craig won the trade." No. Listen, Rafael Devers is still a hell of a hitter. I mean, for a fact he's going to kind of get cooking. And so Devers hit a homer against Kyle Freeland, the southpaw from the Colorado Rockies. And it's actually interesting because Rafi typically never has a lot of emotion, really, obviously, after hitting home runs. I mean, obviously, it has to be kind of something to him where he basically – I know, obviously, the Garrett Cole stuff, like, sometimes when he would hit against Garrett Cole, he might look back, but that's kind of, like, besides the point because, like, he obviously had the history. He hit a home run, and he basically was showing, like, emotion that, like, we have not seen, even, like, with the Sox. Obviously, he's shown some emotion time to time, but most of the time when he hits a home run, he basically just kind of goes around the bases, and that's kind of that. However, he looked, as he was rounding first base at Freeland, I don't know exactly where things kind of went from there, but essentially it created a brawl. I believe Willie Adames was in it. I believe there's a couple other guys that was in it. So, I mentioned Ryan's going to kind of go more into detail about this. But all I can say is that this is kind of what we've kind of seen sometimes in baseball, right? I know that obviously last year we obviously had a couple on this program, and we have another one this week, Ryan. So yeah, Rockies and Giants on a brawl, and I am surprised about this. Apparently, so they sent out the fines and the suspensions, and Rafi was only given a fine, which I'm kind of surprised about. But that's really kind of a little bit of kind of the glimpse of kind of what it is. So, Ryan, I'm going to take it away to you and kind of have you explain to the audience kind of more details about the situation.
Yeah, so basically on Tuesday night between the Giants and the Rockies at Coors Field, Rafael Devers hit an absolute bomb off Kyle Freeland in the first inning. And Freeland didn't like how long it took for Rafael Devers to start rounding the bases. Devers apparently stared at the ball for too long right after he hit it. He started yelling at Devers. Devers eventually started yelling back at Freeland. And the two of them started to walk towards each other. Then the benches cleared. And Matt Chapman actually shoved Kyle Freeland as the teams emptied the bench.
That's right. Yeah, Chapman was part of it.
There was some shoving going on. I think a couple of punches were thrown. So it was actually one of the more real fights in baseball this year rather than just a bench clearing brawl. So as a result of the melee, Matt Chapman was given a 1-game suspension, which he is appealing, I think, at the moment. I don't know if that's going to get overturned or if he's still going to have to serve it. And Willie Adames also got tossed because him and Kyle Freeland also started yelling at each other after things seemed to have settled down. And Freeland, I know, got fined, and a couple of other guys got fined as well. Chapman appealed his punishment and will not sit out until the hearing can be held. And 3 players were ejected. It was Devers, Adames, and Chapman. So those were the 3 guys who got tossed after the game. And it was a very bizarre scene again. Tuesday, we had 2 bizarre scenarios around Major League Baseball. We just talked about Valdez and Salazar, and now we're talking about Devers and Freeland. When this was going on, I was saying to myself, how do you get into a brawl with the Colorado Rockies? So then I saw that the Rockies were kind of the ones who instigated it because Freeland was yelling at Devers. Look, I'm an old school baseball fan. I really don't care for home run pimps or bat flips or all this nonsense that baseball now has to promote because this is what the younger generation likes. They like the bat flips, they like the partying, they like the celebrations as somebody rounds the bases. I think it's stupid. I thought it was always more badass, honestly, to just hit a home run and just round the bases like another day at the office. That was just the way that I, always appreciated the game. Just do it, just keep it calm, cool, and collected. We get it. You're a good baseball player. We don't need to see you flip the bat as high as you possibly can or do a little twirl with it, all that stuff. It's stupid to me. But it's the way that it is in the game, unfortunately, whether I like it or not. Kyle Freeland apparently doesn't like it, and he decided to have a few choice words for Rafael Devers. Freeland had gave his thoughts after the game, basically saying that Devers showed him up. He didn't like that. And, some of the players on the Giants, I forget if it was Adames or somebody else, or Chapman, but basically they were saying Freeland runs his mouth all the time. They were surprised that it didn't happen earlier with him. In other words, a brawl didn't happen sooner with him. The whole thing was kind of stupid. Neither of these teams are going to the playoffs. The Rockies are one of the worst teams in history this year. The Giants have better things to do than to waste their time getting into a fight with these guys who can barely play a clean game of baseball.
Yeah.
So the whole thing was just kind of a waste of time. It was stupid. And I really don't know what else I can add on this other than the fact that it's between two teams who aren't going anywhere this year. Maybe just some frustration spilling out from Kyle Freeland for the way that the season has gone for the Rockies. It was probably one of the most among the most amount of fight that the Rockies have shown all season long.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. And the Giants, they got off to that hot start, but then they cooled off significantly over the summer. So I think it was maybe a mix of emotions just boiling for both teams. But regardless, Devers is obviously one of the best power hitters in baseball. If you don't want to see him pimp home runs, make a better pitch. I mean,
I was about to say that.
I mean, God knows how many times he pimped a home run off of Garrett Cole, and Cole never intentionally threw at him.
I respect a lot of them too.
Yeah,
because I knew it was like I think for him too. I think he just kind of got to that acceptance phase of this guy just owns me. There's nothing I can do.
It was a dumb thing to do, but I mean, he got to the point where he just walked him. But I'm on base.
Yep.
I mean,
that's a respect level. That's basically like, listen, I have no words anymore.
You don't want him to beat you, just put him on.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole thing was just dumb, if you ask me.
So Ryan, I mean, listen, I think it was bad on both sides, right?
Yeah.
But Kyle Freeland, dude, you are 3-14 this season with a 5.4 run ERA. I mean, granted, yes, you have a 1.52 WHIP, which is not awful, but 3-14 record. Yes, I understand you're playing for one of the worst teams in baseball, but this has to be it's what it is type of thing, right? You just kind of have to flush it down and move on. Like you said, both teams are not going to be good in the playoffs. And if you have seen Rafael Devers play the game of baseball, when he hits home runs, he loves to just hit it, sometimes watch it, and maybe flip. That's kind of it, and I grant maybe he said something after he hit it. I don't know. But this isn't something new. Rafi has been doing this pretty much ever since he's given to him. So, it's what it is.
And people aren't going to take you, and people are going to take you even less seriously because you're number one, you're on the Rockies, you're having a terrible year, and now you do this. So people aren't. So I mean, Freeland didn't do himself any good with this. With this, this does nothing for him. This does nothing for the Rockies. Season's long gone. You're the first team eliminated.
Situation. It's one thing if do you think the Giants and the Rockies have any beef in the past? No, I don't think so. So it's one thing if maybe some of the teams had some beef in the past. Maybe it was like the Yankees and the Astros, kind of went back and forth. The Red Sox, Yankees, like, okay, like, yeah. And obviously it sucks. Obviously it happened, but like, you kind of understand it. Dodgers, Padres, that's one of the more crazier ones we've seen recently. But the Rockies and Giants, I don't know.
No one takes the Rockies seriously.
Thank you. Sorry, Rockies fans. I mean, you obviously have a great park. I want to go visit. I've never been there. Maybe next year. Maybe meet some of you guys. See if you guys, how you guys are feeling about the Rockies. And, but that's that. Hitting for the Cycle is presented by Playback. Watching sports is more fun with others, but we spend too much of our time watching alone. Playback is a virtual space where communities can stream live sports together with everyone perfectly synced up. Creators can hop on stage, deliver their own play-by-play analysis and commentary, and invite viewers up for Q&A. Playback makes watching sports fully interactive and a social experience, from playing fantasy sports, repping your favorite players and teams, and watching with the commentators and communities you care about. Win or lose, sports are best enjoyed together. Join our community by going to playback.tv/CGB Network to find out more, including our live stream schedule. And now back to the show. All right, let's get into the injury reports. Ryan, you're talking about off the air that we have not really done a show recently about doing the injury reports. So I know it's obviously not our favorite thing to do, but there is quite a bit of news that we obviously have to get into. So I will bring it to now my show doctor. I want to obviously hear from you now and the audience in terms of what is the latest from a lot of these injury news, including one of my guys, which I'm very, very sad about.
Yes, so if you remember, so for those who missed our show last week, it's actually on our Playback channel. So you got to go to Playback to watch last week's episode. But we talked about how Zach Wheeler had a blood clot, and the news broke literally that same day, just a couple of hours after that was aired. The news broke that Zach Wheeler is in fact going to miss the rest of the season with a blood clot. No surprise there. So get well very soon, Zach Wheeler. And that is a tough blow to the Phillies rotation, as we mentioned. But, they do have more depth this year going into the postseason than I think they have in years past. So still, that's a very scary injury to deal with. Blood clots are no joke. So you just hope that Zach Wheeler, we wish Zach Wheeler a speedy recovery. Nathan Eovaldi out for the season. I'm trying to look up the injury that he has.
I think it was shoulder.
It's a right rotator cuff strain.
Rotator cuff. I know it was
rotator cuff strain. Yeah. That is a massive blow to the Rangers as they're trying to, keep their season alive. They've been playing well recently. I think they're like 9-1 in their last 10, something like that. So they were making up some grounds. They were gaining some ground on the Mariners, who have been struggling. No surprise there, but who have been struggling massively. And Eovaldi had an ERA under 2. I mean, he was getting some consideration. He was getting some Cy Young consideration this year, but unfortunately, and I've praised Eovaldi, and I've been critical how the Yankees were too quick to let him go, and I still stand by that. I wish he was still a Yankee, but unfortunately, but in spite of Eovaldi's greatness, the guy just cannot stay healthy. That's just been the biggest problem within his entire career. So So while sure it would have been nice to have somebody the caliber of Nathan Eovaldi on my team, at the same time I can't deny the fact that the guy just can't stay healthy on the mounds. He's always hurt every year, and it does affect the team regardless. And it's a tough blow to the Rangers in that rotation. It's a very tough blow. It's going to be hard for the Rangers. I don't know if the Rangers are going to be a playoff team necessarily. Like I said, they've made up some grounds, but I just think without Eovaldi, even if they make the playoffs, without Eovaldi, I don't see them going far in the playoffs. So it's a tough blow to the Rangers, and Eovaldi is going to miss the rest of the season. So another injury to Nathan Eovaldi, and it sucks. There's no doubt about it, because he's a really good postseason performer. I mean, he delivers in the clutch when it matters. So that's a really bad blow to the Rangers. Xander Bogaerts has a foot fracture. He fought a ball off his left foot, and his status is up in the air. The Padres aren't. The Padres. I think it's pretty certain that he's not going to be back for the remainder of the regular season. So he won't be back until the postseason. But even if he comes back for the postseason, I don't see him being 100%. I think he's going to be compromised.
I know Xander very well, and during his time with Boston, he had a lot of injuries, and it would take him a long period of time, even if he did come back, the same type of production that he was going to have, because Xander was playing pretty good ball before he got hurt. I know obviously to start the year he wasn't doing much, but he was really starting to kind of get going. So it's just so unfortunate because he just has so much ability, and the Padres are right now just kind of in that thick of things, and I do think that having him definitely did help them as of late. So it sucks, and I could very well see him just being done for the year.
Yeah, I mean, I think Bogarts is going to try and push through this. I do think that, it would be, you know, when it comes time for the postseason, I do think Bogarts is going to be on the postseason roster, actually. I do think the Padres are going to put him on there. Whether they start him or not is a question. But I think that they're going to try and just fight through this as best as they can. I mean, this is kind of giving me Matt Carpenter vibes a couple of years ago with the Yankees, where the Yankees rushed him back and Carpenter was nowhere near ready to come back. I mean, he just struck out every single time he came to the plate. I could see that being the case with Bogarts if the Padres do rush him back for the postseason. I just think that this injury is going to compromise Bogarts. I don't see him being, a helping hand to the Padres in the postseason with an injury like this. A foot fracture is awful. You're going to put pressure on that foot. It's only going to exacerbate the injury. There's no way. It's terrible. So that's a big blow.
When he plays, sorry to cut you off, right? Especially when he plays one of the most premier positions in the game. He plays shortstop. And shortstop, you have to use a lot of movement with your feet. So,
yeah, and I'm trying to remember his name. I keep forgetting the guy's name, but the Padres also lost a valuable arm in that Jason Adam. He's lost for this season, the remainder of the season, and he might miss, and he's probably going to miss a good portion of next season as well. I'm trying to remember the injury that he had. Hold on, I'm looking it up right here. Jason Adam. He has a rupture. He's got a ruptured quad tendon. Ruptured quad tendon. It was a couple of days ago. It was on Sunday against the Orioles, I believe. This injury happened. He literally threw a pitch and just went down like a ton of bricks. Freak injury, and that's a really big blow to the Padre bullpen. Adam's got nasty stuff. And he really is an ideal setup man to Mason Miller in that Padre bullpen. And losing Adam is really tough. So the Padres have been hit hard with the injury bug over the past couple of days. So, they're definitely facing some adversity as they head down the stretch in the season. So Jason Adam is going to be gone for quite some time, unfortunately. So we wish all these guys speedy recoveries, and now we can turn our attention to your guy on the Red Sox who suffered an injury already.
Yeah. Roman Anthony, the Empire. We legitimately just saw him a couple weeks ago, Ron, and just him in an absolute tank. Roman, during this week against the Guardians, the second game of the series, swung and missed and struck out against Slade Ciccone. If anybody knows that name, I respect you. Slade Ciccone from the Guardians. And Roman swung, and he was doing this, going back to the dugout, which I'm like, oh no. Now, Roman, obviously, unfortunately, he got hurt a couple weeks ago, but it wasn't anything serious. He legitimately, I don't know exactly what happened, but I was kind of panicking a little bit, but then he went back on the field. I'm like, everything sounded good. I know he did miss a game or two, but it was fine. Roman has suffered oblique, tightness. And Alex Cora said he's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. Now, obviously, I don't know if it's going to be him coming back for the playoffs, but this is a big loss. And I'm not saying just because he is, saying, well, it's just a prospect. I can go through all the stats. The Red Sox, as a team, since Roman Cano came into this overall team, was playing some of their best baseball. He was number one in average, number one in OPS. He could just hit the ball to all fields. And he was just a guy specifically that was just well-liked, and the fans loved him, including myself. And he's going to be somebody that would be loved to come. And the fact that he just got a long-term extension too with the team, it's tough. It really, really is tough. But hopefully he comes back. He sounded like he has some optimism. And Craig Breslow yesterday on the radio said he has some optimism. So his regular season is going to be over. However, I think there could be, yes, injuries obviously suck, but there could be some type of light, I guess you can say, with this. And I think that could be that maybe he can kind of rest whatever he's kind of resting, and he could kind of just get himself kind of ready. Because you don't want to rush this. You don't want to say, well, the Red Sox need to get in the playoffs right now. We got to get one of our best hitters back. No. I think the Red Sox still have a decent amount of ability and talent. You look at Bregman, Story, Duran, Rafaela. They got some guys there. But this is a big loss. I was pretty devastated when I saw the news at work. But we move on. And Roman, you'll be back, and you'll be doing your thing when you come back.
Well, yeah, I mean, the fact that Roman's only, 21 years old, or 21 years old.
Yeah.
I do think
I saw him play on Saturday.
I do think he's gonna heal very quickly. But it's just frustrating, and it's almost, I wouldn't say comical, but almost like, you gotta be kidding me. When a kid just comes up and gets hurt almost immediately when he comes up to the major leagues. I mean, I remember a couple of years ago, this was a much more severe injury, but when Jason Dominguez came up to the Yankees, he tears his UCL almost immediately. And that was just ridiculous. And he had to undergo the knife. Obviously, that was a much more severe injury than what Roman Anthony's going through. But it's like, my God, what the hell's going on here? You're in your early 20s. How do you get hurt this quickly when you come up to the majors? So, I don't know what.
Ever had an injury like this? They honestly asked him, have you ever had an injury like this? He said no. And when he basically was very despondent in the post game on Wednesday, that didn't sound promising. So, just hopeful that Roman comes back. And if there's anybody that wants to get back and, play the Yankees, that'll probably be him.
Oh, he's unfortunately going to miss the Yankees when they come to town next weekend. So that's definitely going to be a tough blow to the Red Sox lineup. So, no Roman Anthony bomb against the Yankees this time around, at least. But regardless, I do wish Roman Anthony a speedy recovery. I do think he'll be back in time for the playoffs, regardless. You just hope. And like I said, because he's young, I don't think this injury will hinder him too much. I think he'll be able to. I think he'll be fine. But regardless, the Red Sox need to focus on getting in the best position possible for the postseason. So we'll talk about that in our team reports.
Well, let's do it. So we're gonna get now into our team reports. Sorry, I'm gonna just get this banner over to the team reports. There we go. So Ryan, we've now been 2 weeks past. Obviously, your Yanks were kind of more in a different situation. But this week, in the last week or two, pretty solid. Now, I'll let it take it to you, because obviously you're the Yankee fan.
Yes, so in our last episode, we were in the middle of that series against the Red Sox at Yankee Stadium. The Red Sox ended up taking 3 out of 4 from us, like I predicted. It was a pretty ugly series for the Yankees. That last time that we recorded an episode for Playback, the Yankees got murdered by the Red Sox, I think 12-1 in the third game of that series. And that it was just an ugly, ugly display of baseball from the Yankees. They were making errors left and right. They were not doing anything on offense. The Yankees did manage to salvage the final game of that series with a pretty solid performance by Carlos Rodon. And the Yankees finally managed to keep the Red Sox bats silent for the most part. They ended up taking the series finale against the Red Sox on Sunday, August 24th, by the score of 7-2. But the Red Sox still took 3 out of 4 against the Yankees at Yankee Stadium. So, if that doesn't raise alarms for concern for Yankee fans, I don't know what does. The Red Sox have just owned the Yankees all year long, and it really hasn't been close. The Red Sox have just killed us all season long. They're 2-8 against us. We have one more series against the Red Sox this year at Fenway Park, like I mentioned, next weekend. So that's a critical series for both teams, obviously. We'll go more into detail about that later on.
And we've already won the season series on you, Ryan.
I know. Congratulations. But you know what? that goes out the window when it comes time for the postseason. So,
Sure.
yes. So then the Yankees took on the god-awful Washington Nationals at Yankee Stadium for a 3-game set. And the Yankees did what they were supposed to do. They swept the Nationals 3 straight. They won Monday by the score of 10-5. They actually had a 10-0 lead, but of course the bullpen needed to give up 5 runs in the 9th inning. So that was very annoying.
Leiter.
What's that?
Mark Leiter Jr. made it interesting.
Yeah, he had to give up a grand slam. Of course he did. This bullpen, man, has just been problematic all season long. I don't trust it, no matter how big of a lead this team has. The Yankees won the first game 10-5. They won the second game by the score of 5-1. And then they won the final game on Wednesday, August 27th, by the score of 11-2. So the Yankees pretty just dominated the series against the Nationals. It was pretty comical watching the Nationals play the Yankees during that week. And then after the sweep, the Yankees went to Chicago to take on another terrible team, the second worst team in baseball record-wise, the White Sox. And it was a 4-game set, and the Yankees took the first game pretty easily by the score of 10-4. It actually started out pretty poorly for the Yankees. They jumped out to a 4-0 lead, but that was quickly flushed down the toilet. Will Warren gave up a grand slam, thanks in part to another Anthony Volpe error. And the White Sox tied the game immediately in the second inning, but then the Yankees started to pull away. In the 5th inning, they scored 2 in the 5th. Trent Grisham hit a 2-run home run. And then in the 8th inning, the Yankees put up a 3 spot and then added 1 more in the 9th. They won 10-4 on Thursday, August 28th. Then on the 29th, the Yankees killed the White Sox again by the score of 10-2. They actually were out-hit by the White Sox 12-7 somehow, but they won the game by a score of 10-2. So that was the second game. The third game of the series was the most exciting in terms of quality of baseball. The Yankees the Yankees had a 2-1 lead. There wasn't a lot of offense in this game. The Yankees took a 2-1 lead into the bottom of the 7th. Devin Williams once again gave up the lead. White Sox tied the game at 2. The game had to go into extra innings. The Yankees in extra innings on the road, not a very good team. However, you're playing the White Sox, so the Yankees were actually able to do some damage in extra innings. They put up a 3 spot in the 11th inning. David Bednar held down the fort in extra innings. Camilo Doval finished it up. He got the save, and the Yankees won the third game by the score of 5-3. That gave them the season.
White Sox had a chance to win that game too. I vividly remember. They
actually were
2 outs. They had a chance to walk it off.
They were inches. Baseball, like they say, baseball is a game of inches. Mm-hmm. I forget who it was for the White Sox, but in the bottom of the 10th inning, there was a ball hit down the right field foul line that barely went foul. Barely. Mm-hmm. The Yankees were able to, get out of that inning, and they were able to hang on for the 5-3 win. So that gave the Yankees a season series win. They were not able to sweep the series, though, unfortunately. The White Sox won the final game by the score of 3-2. But the Yankees still took 3 out of 4 from the White Sox. Still a very good series for the Yankees. And then the Yankees began a huge gauntlet. Their next 4 series against winning teams and teams who are fighting for playoff positioning. And it began in Houston against the Astros, team that has just had their number for God knows how many years at this point. But the Yankees have actually played much better in Houston in recent years.
9 of 10.
9 out of 10. I don't know where the hell this came from. Why can't they do this during the postseason? That's what I want to know.
I don't know.
While that makes me happy on one hand, that also makes me pissed on another hand. So, the series began on Tuesday, September 2nd. Max Fried atones for his poor start against the Astros last month with a dominant start this time around. He was terrific. Made a couple of sparkling plays in the field as well. The
Astros. Oh, God.
The Astros looked like the Yankees on the bases this time around. This was weird. Usually I'm yelling at my television screen at the Yankees' stupid base running, but the Astros made 2 very bad base running.
They had it against us too. Yeah.
So, the Astros are not exactly the most fundamentally sound baseball team either. So, I guess take that, Houston. But, the Yankees won that game pretty easily by the score of 7-1. That was the game where Valdez and Salazar got crossed up. Trent Grisham, like we mentioned, hit a grand slam in the 5th inning. And like I said, and Jazz Chisholm hit 2 home runs as well. And the Yankees won that game by the score of 7-1. Middle game of the series on Wednesday was a pain in the ass. Will Warren started out very good. The Yankees jumped out to a quick 3-0 lead. The Astros got one back in the fifth. The Yankees went ahead 4-1 in the top of the sixth. Giancarlo also had a home run in this game. He homered in the second, and that got the scoring started. So the Yankees had a 4-1 lead going into the bottom of the sixth inning. Will Warren gave up a home run immediately to Jeremy Pena that barely cleared the Crawford boxes. Mm-hmm. And then immediately after that, Boone pulls him and goes to the bullpen. This stuff infuriates me. This bullpen has shown time and time again it is not trustworthy. It is always in trouble every single time. You're taking Will Warren out in the sixth inning. You're asking this bullpen to get 12 outs.
Wait, did he take him out to go to Jordan?
He took him out. He took him out. Kruse came in. I think he took him out. I think Jordan was due up after Pena. I believe so. Yes.
Well, no, I think they took him out because Jordan owned Warren throughout that game. But still,
he did. I think he did. But still, I mean, Warren only had 67 pitches. I would try and stretch him out just a little bit more. At least let him go one more inning. Yeah. I mean, the home run was a cheapie. It was a Crawford box porch job.
Yeah.
So at least let him go a little more. He's pitching well against a very good team, something he has struggled to do all season long. If you want him to be mentally prepared for the postseason, pitching against good teams, you would theoretically let him try and build on this. But no, we need to go to Fernando Cruz. Cruz struggled, and the Astros made it 4-3 after the bottom of the sixth inning. We go to the seventh inning, and the Astros tied the game up in the seventh inning. Luke Weaver. Another shaky performance. Weaver's been struggling recently. The Astros tied the game up. And then we get to the eighth inning. And who the hell does he go to in this situation? Let's bring in Devin frickin' Williams. God almighty. The Astros, Williams walks three guys. He walks three guys. And he walked the number 9 hitter, which allowed a run to come in to score. That put the Astros up 5-4. Williams got pissed. The umpiring. Okay, look. The home plate umpire stunk this game for both teams. Yes, it was a bad.
Thank you.
It was bad. It was a very bad performance by this home plate umpire, who was actually a picture. Yes, the umpire was bad. He was very bad. And actually, there was a picture that went viral on social media of this guy wearing a Red Sox shirt. So the Yankee fans, of course, were losing their minds, saying this guy has it in for the Yankees. This guy is biased against the Yankees because he's a Red Sox fan. Look, Yankee fans, shut up. Just shut up, all right? It has nothing to do with his Red Sox bias. It's just that he's a bad umpire. That's really what it boils down to.
I mean, the one yesterday in the third game was okay. The one that, man, he caught the ball.
Yes.
But come on. I mean, it wasn't – they lost the game because Devin Williams came in and couldn't find the score.
Yes, Devin Williams came in, and then Camilo Doval added more gasoline to the fire. Doval, balk, wild pitch. What a mess this guy's been ever since coming over to the Yankees. This guy just has no control whatsoever. And the Astros took an 8-4 lead after that. The Yankees actually managed to come within one run. Cody Bellinger hit a 3-run home run in the ninth inning. But Jazz Chisholm struck out on a questionable call third strike. It was a ball. And Jazz, of course, being Jazz, tweeted about his displeasure after the game. So the Yankees lost that game 8-7. And Yankees Universe, of course, as they typically do after a crushing loss, bitches online on social media. And I didn't do it on social media, but I was upset after the game. So I just didn't do that way, as I should. So then we get to the final game, Thursday, September 4th. And the Yankees, they needed to salvage this game because you don't want the momentum for the other team to carry into the final game. So the Yankees really needed this game. Carlos Rodon, honestly, very underrated season from Carlos Rodon. He's had a very respectable season, pitched well again last night. And the Yankees, again, Trent Grisham, man, what can you say? 30 home runs on the season. Just been – I don't know what the hell happened to this guy this offseason, but he just has turned into
Maybe that's it. Maybe he's just playing for a little more.
Yeah, and that was also the 100th home run of his career. The Yankees were able to survive another 4-hit performance from Yordan Alvarez. I never want to see him ever again. The Yankees, no matter what they pitched to him, whether it was low, high, inside, outside, Yordan just hit it. Yordan's just on another level right now. He's just on one of those modes where no matter what you throw him, you can't get him out, and he's just finding holes. you can't get Yordan Alvarez out right now. Whoever's facing the Astros next, good luck to you.
Yeah.
But the Yankees, the bullpen again gave me a heart attack in the end. David Bednar didn't make it easy in the 9th inning, but the Yankees did win the final game by a score of 8-4, take 2 out of 3 from the Astros. Huge series win for the Yankees. Biggest criticism for the Yankees all season long is that they can't beat the best teams. The Yankees finally won a series against a playoff contender on their home turf in a place that has given them nightmares over the years. So wish they would have done it in the postseason, but regardless, I'm not going to complain. I would have liked the sweep, obviously, but still taking 2 out of 3 against the Astros in Houston is very good, so I can't really complain too much about it. So now one series of this 4-series gauntlet is over. We're done with the Astros this season. Now 3 in the Bronx against the AL East leading Blue Jays, who lead us by 3 games in the American League East. So the Yankees have a golden opportunity to get back to the top of the division this weekend, and I hope they do.
Before you ask me my team, what's your prediction for the weekend? So the probables are Gossman against Schindler tonight, Scherzer and Fried maybe? No, Fried's pitching.
No, Heel.
And then you got
then Fried Sunday against
Bassett on Sunday.
Against Bassett.
I'm going 2-3 with the Yankees.
You're going 2-3 with the Yankees.
I don't trust the Jays bullpen.
You know what? The Jays, they have come back to earth since the last time we saw them in Toronto. They're not the same team. I think they're starting to show cracks.
Yeah.
Screw it. Sweep. We're sweeping the Blue Jays.
Okay. I was going to say, Ryan, if you can't get them when they're kind of on their downhill right now, I don't know.
We're sweeping the Jays this weekend. Usually I do not do that, but you know what? Why not?
All right, Ryan. All right, let's go to my Red Sox here. So the Red Sox, they obviously took 3 or 4 from the Yankees. And then they played the Orioles in Baltimore for 4 games. Now, obviously, Ryan, we know about playing the Orioles. The Orioles always seem to play both of our teams tough, no matter what's going on. We had Bale, we had Crochet, and we had Giolito and pitching on those 3 of the 4 games. And credit the Orioles. They made it tough. We didn't hit a lot in that series.
Orioles have been playing better recently.
Yeah. We that 3rd game, we were down 2-1, and Cedar Rafaela did this in the top of the 9th inning, took the lead, and then Aroldis Chapman. Ryan, I'm sorry that Aroldis Chapman has turned into an absolute demon again, but I'm very glad that demon is coming back to my team. He has been nothing short of unconscious. I mean, this guy's coming in and just going boom, 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 see ya. And the Red Sox, I asked for 3 games. They took 3 or 4, but no. They decided to go for the sweep. Garrett Crochet even wasn't on his best, but he did enough for 6 innings. And the Red Sox swept the Orioles to go back to play a homestand, which I thought was going to be pretty favorable. Now, granted, the Pirates, you could say, well, they're playing the Pirates. But yeah, the Pirates, they just swept the Dodgers this past series. So I don't want to hear it. However, it was a very unfortunate, rough series. However, we had some theatrical on Friday at Fenway, which I unfortunately missed by a game. Peyton Tolley, for those that don't know, he was one of the top prospects for the Red Sox. Another prospect coming up, another day for the Sox. They brought him up to face no other but Paul Skeens. Skeens, Tolley, Friday night, wearing the green jerseys, and Skeens, Ryan, did enough to shut us down. We had our chances, but our offense just didn't do enough, and Tolley was phenomenal. Now, Greg Weisser comes in, former Yankee, and unfortunately blows it for Tolley, and Red Sox was the first game. Second game, I'm at with a bunch of my buddies. Perfect, great day at Fenway. Great to be back at the park. I even took my brother for his first game of the season. And we saw Dustin May have nothing short of disaster class. We left in the 5th inning, 6th inning, and it was embarrassing. Even from the first play of the game, Ryan. Ground ball to short, third base. Bregman makes a fine to the first base. Romy Gonzalez drops the ball. Floodgates basically kind of open up from there. And credit to the Pirate fans, by the way. Saw a lot of Pirate fans at Fenway. Even met a Pirates fan, Ryan, while getting my food at the concourse. Basically said you're one of the best parks in baseball. You like that. So you know what? No beef with the Pirates. Yankee fans don't really have any beef with the Pirates either. I just wish obviously they invested more in their team. You obviously have Paul Skeens, but you probably won't be having Paul Skeens in the next couple of years. So, but anyway, they lost 2 games. Very frustrating series for the Sox. However, they did salvage the 3rd game, thankfully, to go play the Guardians. Now, obviously, Ryan, the Guardians, they're not been great this year, but they're always past. They're always a team that you just, no matter what they are. Stephen Kwan, like you said with Jordan, I don't want to see Stephen Kwan played again. This guy just drives me nuts. He's not even that good of a hitter, but he fouls the ball off. I mean, if you told him to foul off 10 pitches in a row, I'd probably believe it. I mean, this guy is an absolute pest. And the Red Sox Labor Day Yankees actually didn't play on Labor Day, but the Red Sox did. And Brian Bay wasn't great. He didn't have his best stuff. However, he did manage to go 5 innings, and the bats did enough. Romy Gonzalez has been hitting well. Bregman hasn't been doing much as of late, but that's obviously kind of, understandable. I mean, Bregman's obviously going to kind of have his times and moments, and they miss Willie Abreu a lot too. Right, if you don't know about Willie right now, he's currently been battling an injury, and they're saying maybe he's going to be back for the end of this weekend. He actually wasn't in the series against the Yankees, so it's been about 2 to 3 weeks now, and they need him bad. So that was the first game. The second game was a whirlwind. Red Sox went up to a 5-run lead. You got Garrett Crochet on the bump. Feeling pretty good. However, things didn't go as planned. Top of the 5th, 6th inning, the Guardians had 3 home runs against Crochet. It was Austin Hedges, Brian Rocchio, David Fry. Not necessarily guys that you would think are power hitters. Now, am I worried about Crochet? No. But I do think, I don't know about the innings limit that he has right now. He's definitely been giving up the long ball as of late, which kind of worries me a little bit. But he's been pitching so well. And the Cy Young, I still think, is kind of be up in the grab because you could say, well, Skubal now, after Crochet started, it's now all Skubal. Skubal gave up 5 runs to the Ace just about a week or 2 ago. So you just don't know. The Red Sox and Tigers are actually playing the last weekend of the series. Anyway, she'll be electric. I hope we can get a Skubal Crochet matchup to determine the Cy Young. That'd be awesome. However, after the Guardians went up 7-5, looked like it was going to be one of the worst losses of the season. Stan Rafael said, ice in my veins, I'm tying this game up. Red Sox never looked back. They won that game. Third game, it was a punt game. It was a bullpen game. I don't want to talk about it. Roman Anthony, life without Roman. Red Sox lose 8-1, 9-1. But still in the series. They got the Arizona Diamondbacks coming up starting tonight on this recording, and then they got the A's before the Yankees come. And that's your team report.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so both teams, obviously the Yankees and Red Sox are neck and neck in the standings right now. And honestly, it's been a while since we've taken a look at the standings. Why don't we quickly just take a look around baseball and see who's at where, because we're in the final month of the season now. So in the American League East, the Blue Jays are in first place at 81-59. The Yankees, 3 games back, 78-62. Blue Jays and Yankees staying for a 3-game set this weekend, like I said. Critical series. And the Blue Jays obviously don't want to see the Yankees neck and neck with them at the top of the AL East. The Yankees obviously are trying to do that. So, and then right behind the Yankees, half game back, are the Red Sox. They are 78-63, 3.5 back of the Jays. The Rays have caught fire. They've won 7 straight. They're 8-2 in their last 10. So they're 71-69. They're back over 500. And then in last place are the disappointing Orioles, who are 64-76. In the American League Central Division, the Tigers still lead the charge at 81-60. They've been slumping recently. They're 3-7 in their last 10, but they still have a very comfortable lead in the American League Central. They're 9.5 games in front of second place Kansas City, who are 71-69. The Guardians are in third place at 69-70. Very disappointing season for them. But they are still pests, so you know that they're still going to give everybody a fight. In fourth place are the Twins at 62-78. And in last, of course, are the White Sox, who are 53-88, but have won 5 straight. And then in the American League West, the Astros are in first place at 77-64. They just lost 2 out of 3 to my Yankees, as I mentioned. They're 5-5 in their last 10, so they've been kind of up and down recently. The Mariners have been slumping. They are in second place, though, at 73-67. They've lost 3 straight. They just got swept by Tampa. So the Mariners have not been playing well recently. In third place, right behind the Mariners, a game and a half behind them, are the Rangers at 72 and 69. Rangers are 7-3 in their last 10. However, they have lost 2 in a row. And then in fourth place are the Angels at 66 and 74. And in last place are the A's at 64 and 77. We move over to the National League in the NL East. The Phillies lead the charge at 81 and 59. They are 6 games up on second place New York. The Mets are 75 and 65. Mets have kind of been up and down. They've struggled to just gain any kind of ground on the Phillies. Mets have actually been playing better against winning teams rather than losing teams, so that's kind of bizarre. The Marlins are in third place at 65 and 75. They've dropped 3 in a row. The Braves, 63 and 77, are in fourth, and the Nats, of course, are in last at 56 and 83. National League Central, Brewers, best team in baseball, 86 and 55. They are 5.5 up on second place Chicago. The Cubs are 80 and 60. The Reds are at 500, 70 and 70. The Reds have kind of been struggling recently. They just have had a hard time just finding any kind of momentum. They take one step forward, but then they take 2 steps back. So that's kind of the growing.
They played a couple times to Toronto this week.
They played well. They played good at the beginning of that series, but then their pitching just fell off a cliff the other 2 games of that series.
Yeah.
The Cardinals are in fourth at 70 and 71, and the Pirates 64 and 77 and in last place.
Really
But
well.
the Pirates have actually been playing some pretty solid baseball. They just swept the Dodgers a couple of days ago, so congrats on that. That's their World Series this year. So yeah.
Don't tell Pirates fans that.
Yeah. And the National League West, the Dodgers, still, despite all of their struggles, still lead the NL West at 78 and 62.
How many games, Ryan? I'm very curious now because they have nothing.
They're 2 games up on the Padres, but the Padres have been playing awful. They are 2-8 in their last 10, and they've lost 4 in a row. Padres just cannot take advantage of the Dodgers' struggles. It's honestly pathetic, to be honest. It's really pathetic how they just cannot take advantage. The Dodgers are doing everything they can to hand them this division, and the Padres just do not capitalize on it. So I don't really have sympathy for the Padres, honestly. I mean, I have sympathy for their injuries. I do. But in terms of them not winning, no sympathy for them.
You just got swept by the Orioles, Padres.
Yeah. So the Padres have just been pretty pathetic. Yeah. The Giants are in third at 71 and 69. The Giants have been red hot. They are 9-1 in their last 10, but I think it's too little, too late.
They also just played the Rockies.
Yeah. The Diamondbacks are in fourth at 70 and 71, and the Rockies, of course, are in last at 39 and 101. What a season!
How many more games have we got, Ryan, of the season?
I think we got about 20, something like that. They're not going to break they're not going to break or tie the White Sox from last year because the White Sox only won 41 and 121 last year. So at least the Rockies aren't going to match that in all likelihood.
Oh man, I'm missing another low.
But they are still very terrible, and they're probably going to lose around 116, 117 games this season.
Yeah.
So this is not a season to be proud of if you're a Rockies fan or if you're a Rocky in general.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's where Major League Baseball standings currently are on September 5th. And it looks like we're kind of out of time here. I don't really have anything else to add.
Okay. Well, we were going to disregard the team reports. The who is hot, who is not for this week. If you guys want to look at that, we will probably do the over on for Playback's Baseball Bonanza. So we'll kind of do a more who's hot, who is not in terms of some players to look at, and obviously maybe some teams as well too. That'll do it for episode 83 of Hitting for the Cycle. Make sure to follow us on all of our socials, including right down here in the ticker bar below. Also, if you guys want to listen to us, where you guys may be getting your podcast as well over on YouTube, we greatly appreciate it over there. But thank you guys for watching episode 83. We will see you guys next time. Enjoy the football this weekend. Enjoy all the big baseball weekend. And Ryan, until next time, my friend, we will see you guys.
Go New York Giants.
We will see you guys next time. Have a good one, guys.